talk with my kids. I have an excellent book at home. I know lots of, not all of them, too, but like I said, stones have been used in ancient ceremonies for years. They're still used in a lot of, the indigenous tribes, too, as well. This kind of made a comeback. People are getting more interested in it, too, of actually aligning them with specific, meridians within the body, too, as well. Laying on the stones.
As long as it's not negative, because I like wearing this ring.
Well, you find occasionally, too, that, and this is actually interesting, a lot of the native tribes, in particular out west, apparently one of the tribes out in I guess the Black Hill area, they've got crystal shards that are 9 feet long, and have been handed down from generation to generation. And there's a circle of 9 women, and they've gone through generation to generation that are the caretakers of it, and they range from 3 feet to 9 feet long. So they're used in ceremonies.
The real crystal,
Quartz.
Full crystal quartz, yeah.
Which is what
I love those.
Interesting.
Just putting them in my hand, it
Make
made
me
me
feel
peaceful.
Crystals are beautiful, and they're pure energy. Crystals are the purest form of energy you can find.
I was so mad at myself, and actually nobody told me. I was in Duncan, BC, and there's a mine where they mine beautiful crystals. And I was in a store in Duncan, and they had all kinds of crystals. And I bought a big one like this, beautiful thing. And then I come home, and I found out there was a mine. If I'd known that, I would have been in for that mine.
Got more? Well, interesting. You can take amethyst. I have in the past worked with crystals, and when you take the crystals, and not from touching them, but if you're using it to draw out any negativity, they get cloudy. Okay? So if you take a piece of amethyst and put it with the crystal, it clears the crystal, which is really quite neat to watch. So it's both like, wow, because if you just leave it and put nothing next to it, it just stays cloudy until you clear it. So they actually use amethyst to clear the crystals.
My friend-in-law, whenever she had a cold and she wasn't feeling good, she took the crystal and she put it right on here, and also she pinned it to her bra. Yeah. And she says it really clears whatever is ailing you.
Oh, yeah.
And she says, and whatever is ailing you goes in the crystal, and you see all kinds of tiny cracks.
That's right.
And those cracks will heal itself later on.
That's right. Yeah, it's really quite amazing. It has just such a long history, too. So, but it was very interesting when they did this work that it was only the amethyst
That's what we need.
too. I mean, that was the one that took them the longest to figure out, too. They went through a lot of material, too, as well, without anything. They had jade initially, because the original biomass was that. How are we doing? Okay.
This is purple because it's iron.
There you go. Anyone else? One more?
Come on, go for it, Judy.
Go for it.
Judy, stop
One more try.
staring.
One more person? Will I still have it on?
Hey, where now? This is the caboose around the neck.
Oh. Here you go. You try now.
You hear snoring, I'm sorry.
I lose quite a few clients on there that they fall asleep. It's like, okay, it's time.
Are you chicken?
No.
Very worthy.
Buy one.
Are you laying on the...
First try it before you buy. Try it first, and then you know.
To try that first, too, as well, because when you get into the home models, they're a little bit different. They don't have the same strength, too, as well. These are the ones that are used in the hospitals and specifically for treatment, too.
What does
The other ones are designed.
What do they cost, like a home model? Okay.
They're expensive, too, as well. These units, including shipping and exchange and stuff, this one is just about $3,000 too as well. And the home models, you can get them for maybe about $1,500. They're a little bit different too. They don't have the same strength. They're meant for people to sleep on and whatever. The interesting thing is, if you do a high setting, you get results, yes, quickly. For people who are a little bit more, I want a quicker effects too. Your side effects are a little bit more stronger too as well. If you do a low dose, it's really accumulative. You get the same result. too. You really do. And that's the one thing that their research proved too. So they felt that you didn't really necessarily need to go. It's more aggressive cases. Sometimes they have to arrest something. They would use the high range. You don't have the same range control in the home models as you do with the professional. Too. And when you go to the lower, normally the little setting here, you can see it has the green. That's low range. These are the ones you would sleep on, the bottom one. To the second range up here, the first one is 95 degrees, the second is 104. All right, that's for cellular regeneration. To at that point, you're going up a little higher. So I wouldn't really recommend sleeping on that one, maybe a couple of hours worth. Once you start getting into the yellow range, it goes from 104 degrees right up to 140 degrees. All right, and the person always starts out sort of mid-range too as well. We're doing short segments. I have it actually sitting, so I can see where I'm at here. We're at 122 right now. Okay. So basically this will give you the benefit even 10, 15 minutes on there too as well. So it's not like you have to flake out and stay on it for long periods of time too. And they do recommend it. I was reading through some of the information, and there was one classification with a woman who had fibromyalgia, and she hadn't had a decent sleep in 3 years too, because the pain just kept her awake all night long. She'd sleep for 5 minutes and then wake up and nod off, wake up. The first treatment after 30 minutes, she slept for 3 hours, pain-free. Second treatment of 30 minutes, she slept for 6 hours. And she goes for regular treatments. She doesn't have one in her own home, but she does go for regular treatments. And she has no more pain. She's fine. She feels absolutely terrific.
Does it take the tiredness away too?
Absolutely. When you start with it, though, you will go through a healing crisis.
Yeah.
Because it itself doesn't know whether you got a broken leg or a heart condition. You're just getting infused with it. And it's, the Chinese, they say often you'll have an ailment, or you'll have something happen to you. And you've all seen this happen. You've probably had it happen to you where you've been sick or something, and you go to the doctor, they deal with it, and a little while later it crops up again, and you go back to the doctor because you've got this pain that's really bothering you. The doctor says, there's nothing there. I can't find anything. They do testing. There's nothing there. So you begin to feel like a head case because they're telling you there's nothing there. Instead, they're trying to give you, we'll take this prescription or that prescription, or have one of this, or drink, go home and drink, something to get rid of it. And you really think you're crazed at that point, too. But the Chinese call that the echo pattern. And your condition, they're like phantoms. It is an echo that's caught in the cells. The cells have memory, too, as well. So that's the big thing.
Yeah, that's the thing about all these breast cancer buses parked around town. I could just imagine what they're telling some women that go in there and get tested, more or less convincing them, oh yeah, you got a problem.
Oh, yes.
I could just imagine, maybe I'm just guessing.
I've
never been in one.
Yeah, no, I have one client that I've dealt with over the years, and her mother had it, so as preventative care, she went and had a double mastectomy. No sign of cancer, she just had them off because she didn't want it to happen to her. I mean, and that's the thinking, and basically the doctors they talked her into it, too. So, I mean, you see these cases, and you're just going, whoa, what happened here? This is supposed to be angels of mercy, not angels of death. Really.
Yeah, it's not just here either.
Countless. Don't get me going.
Yeah.
I won't shut up.
So basically, in essence, what you're looking at with the negative ionic field is chi. People